Unveiling Island Passion. How do you say passion in French? Passion. I have a really excited lady with me right now. I have Dr. Wendy Crawford-Daniel, who is in studio with me this morning, and I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
You did it.
I know, I did.
Unveiling Island Passion. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm on one of those juicy talk shows, boy, in the US where, you know, you come and you just open the book and you're like, as she removed her blouse, he kissed her bosom, you know, that kind of thing, right? But it's good to see you. And
Thank
again,
you.
congratulations.
I'm happy to be here.
And don't mind me, you know,
I love
filled
you.
with love.
I love you, Lexa. You know that.
Oh, I love you too. Oh, it's Valentine's Day. Tell me. First off, I want to find out. We're going to talk about the book, and I know we have a few minutes to play with, right, Marlon? We gotta get juicy here, right?
Ooh.
What motivated you to do this book?
Well, I'm a research sociologist to begin with, so relationships excite me.
Wow.
Whether it is friendship, just regular friendships, whether it is relationship with family, whether it is intimate relationships, because as sociologists we study a lot of relationship and how, you know, people get together and the role of family and the role of community, colleagues, co-workers, these sorts of things. So I've been doing some research over the years though on different areas of the social life of Grenada. I've looked at funerals, for example, death, dying, bereavement, and this new version that we have called Happy Hour. Looked at how families get together and make decisions about burial, about, well, you know, the whole works, right? Some of that is in there. I look at relationships within family and how families make various decisions about their children. I look at the very kind of unique type of relationship we have between mothers and sons, for example, and the difficulties they have in letting go of their son, particularly on issues of love. Right? They always feel they are the only ones who can cook for their sons. They're the only ones who, you know, these types of issues. They want to see their son get married, but when the actual wife is or potential wife is presented, some of them freak out, and that's natural. So these types of issues have always fascinated me. I've always found some ways of researching various aspects of those. So I have been, well, I work at St. George's University, and after 7 years of work, you're entitled to what we call a sabbatical. So you get a semester off to do some work. Oh, nice. So I thought about I need to find a way to bring all of this information together, but also in a way that people will be interested in reading about it. Right. And so I try to stay away from the very academic type of approach, because people do not read academic books. I'm sorry, I'm a professor and I know it. Yeah. The difficulty to get students to read an article, a professionally, you know, article. They will not do it. Yeah. Once you present some sort of exciting literature, now they will all read it, they'll participate in the class. And so I thought long and hard about what's the best way of presenting this wealth of information that I have in an interesting way. And when I went off on sabbatical, I sort of totally isolated myself for about 6 to 8 months in Florida, all alone. All alone. Wink, wink. I like and so that I could concentrate on what I want, and it unfolded. It just unfolded, and I found a way of, you know, I said, in order to do this, I need to have in the core of it a sort of love story that will attract people's interest. And so what I did, I evoked a couple and used that couple to address many of these issues. So I brought in the couple comprised someone who was unfamiliar with the culture, so that they'll ask all the appropriate questions, and someone familiar with the culture to provide all the answers and the experiences. And in the process, the couple, they got together, right? Nice. In the true nature of relationship, and they had a heck of a relationship. Removed her shirt. Oh, Roxanne, you're terrible.
But I like that. So it's really not just about the whole, you know,
romance thing.
No, it's you strategically tied in all other bits and pieces of what you just mentioned. And that in itself is interesting.
Yeah.
And
Trust me, it is interesting.
And here you have it, Unveiling Island Passion.
Once you start to read it, you'll have difficulties putting it down.
Ooh, but that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. But we do have a part where they, you know, go off to the beach and the sunset.
Of course.
And
I mean, that's
okay, good, because you know.
Well, what I try to capture though, the real, basically, I looked at the evolution of the social life, and of course, romance is a part of it, a key aspect of our social life. So I looked at the evolution, went all the way back. You know, had someone look back 60 years about the grandparents and the approaches in terms of courtship, and you know, the letter writing and the beach experience. It has always been there. The moonlight experiences, the standpipe experiences, because in their days, standpipe was an important thing. Under the cocoa experiences, I have all of that. In other words, courtship was different than it is today.
It was,
right?
and you know what? Not all the distractions of having to tweet, I'm on a date now with him, or going on Facebook, or no, I want to see my favorite TV show. You know, it was just about, you know, I was telling somebody that the other day, my dad, his mom, she's 91, bless her.
Bless her heart.
She had 15 kids. And I'm like, people are like, what, crazy that? I'm like, you know what? No TV, no distractions. The moonlight and the cuddles, and next thing you know, 15 babies, you know? So it's so true. Things have changed so much.
So I showed the evolution of all of this, how, you know, from way back then, decades ago, and how things has evolved. But trying to show in the whole process is that lots have changed. We have embraced modernity in a lot of ways. Lots of things have changed, and we expect it to change. We want it to change. We don't want it to remain the same. True. But at the same time, there are some core value systems in our culture that has remained. And these are the things that I wanted to focus on. That we tend sometimes to forget that these things still exist. Yeah. The type of friendship that we know in our culture in Grenada, for example. Friendships that came from your village, your community, your primary school, your secondary school, and has continued throughout your life. You know, and the kind of interaction that we share, that is special. It is. And sometimes we take these things for granted. So you know, we are so willing to, a situation where we are willing to put our neck on the block for a friend. Yeah. In the family, despite there might be some negatives and positives about our parenting styles, but ultimately, it works, and it works well for our culture. Yeah. And we again forgetting that sometimes when we see things go wrong and people complain about the young people or the youth, and you know, there are always some complaint, but there will always be one or two that will stand out. So true. Negativity that will stand out. Yeah. But if you look in the core of all of this, behind all of that cloud, the real true values and moral values and ethical values is still there.
It's there.
They're there. Yeah.
So I wanted you, without cutting you, Dr. Daniel, I wanted you to just read something for me and the viewers today. But before you can find the page, and I'm sure you have it marked off already, but before you do that, did you ever go through any sort of writer's block? You mentioned 6 months of complete, you know, solitude and just being away from it all and being able to focus on this project. Any writer's block, and did it actually take you 6 months or more?
It did not take me 6 months. In fact, it took me a little less than that, because once I got the idea, once I put the things together, I got excited and I sat there. Sometimes I'll go for the entire day, you know, totally undisturbed. For example, my husband would come visit me on weekends.
Right.
He'd come and prepare meals, make sure I have things in the fridge. Because I know when you're lost in this, nothing disturbs you. You understand? He'll do all the stuff. So I basically had all the time in my life to just. So once I got the idea and got excited about it,
and you
it was
still
like almost non-stop.
No, but look at you, you're busting. Totally vibes. Did you say totally vibes up? I love it. I love it. So, are you going to share a paragraph?
What I'm going to share really is I do not want to give out too much of the book at the moment, but what I'll share basically is a review done by one of our leading literary experts. That's Jacob Ross. Everyone I think knows Jacob Ross. He did Pinta Binda, that novel. And he's also a member of a fellow of the Royal Society for Literature in the UK. Good. And I'm very happy that he was able to do the foreword for this book for me. Good. He was one of the very first persons who read this book. And I must say, I need to mention also the person who edited this book. When I completed the manuscript, I have a friend, she's Grenadian, Claudia Halley. She's works at University of the West Indies, Marishu House. And she came to Florida to read the manuscript.
Wonderful.
And to do the editing.
Oh, great.
And she transformed that manuscript and helped me put some life into some of the characters. It was amazing. She did amazing work. I sing her praise every day.
Excellent.
Because without her, it would not have had the
course.
life it has now. You know, so I'm very grateful for this.
Wonderful.
I will just read some little excerpts from what Jacob Ross had to say about the book. He says, Unveiling Island Passion touches on the very essence of human relations in Grenada and how traditionally we have survived and thrived as a people. It highlights the value of community. Unveiling Island Passion is also a story of dislocation, of broken and reunited families and human striving. We witness the tension between the abiding desire of Grenadian migrants to return home and the tragedy of not being able to do so due to the demands of life in a world whose values and demands are antithetical to those they left behind. He says that the writing is evocative, conjuring for us, very convincingly, the atmosphere of village life, the almost magical beauty of the island, the rituals of behavior and daily interactions, the rich social, educational, and recreational life of its people, and above all, the values that underscore so much of human behavior. At the heart of the book lies a love story, the relationship between Rose, the narrator's grandmother, a white, educated, Kansas-born farm girl, who observes and diaries in detail her profound, life-transforming experience of Grenada and its people, and Randy, a Grenadian man who brings her home to visit. Now, nothing in her life has prepared Rose for this world where relationships and community are valued above material accretions. We are allowed to see the internal emotional workings and preoccupation of these two real-world characters. As readers, we experience their inner fears, their moments of self-doubts, and their growing desire for each other, despite the challenges they foresee for themselves as a black and white couple in the United States. Now, Unveiling Island Passion rises above a personal exploration of family. It is a heartwarming and valuable insight into the social, cultural, and historical forces which, despite our increasing engagement with modernity, have shaped and still shape our ideas of ourselves as a nation and the way we interact with the world.
Wow.
So that I think Jacob has captured.
He has.
Captured.